55, 46, 44. Yes. You could be fixed real soon.
Sorry. But getting very close to the last time I'll ever use the dog machine, so I'm going to do.
Going to get that bulldog. It'll be a pit bull terrier shortly.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's a side of you I hadn't seen.
No. As you know, we had a terrific time. Did you enjoy when we went to Nashville? Yeah. It was great. We just had some wonderful shows, and of course the most marvellous people we introduced you to, the biggest stars. I mean, well, not only in Australia but in America, they are like mega stars. And of course then there was a Channel 9 telecast of the annual Country Music Association Awards, and what a lineup of talent, a great award show. Well, now you can enjoy and relive those highlights of the CMA Awards from home with a new CD. Brilliant performers, Leanne Rimes, Pam Tillis, George Strait, Vince Gill, Leanne Womack, the Midday. Well, this guy holds the all-time record for being the most complained about man in Australian radio, dominating nighttime talkback on 23 stations around the country. He's now published the Thoughts of Chairman Stan, giving fans the chance to be entertained, provoked, possibly infuriated, even when the radio is off. Please welcome from 2UE, Stan Zemanek. Stan, welcome to Midday.
Nice to be here again.
Mm. Have you heard what our maestro's been saying about you?
No, what has he got? I could imagine only good things. Only good things. I mean, a man of his intelligence and intellect and good looks, only good things I could imagine. Is that right, audience? No. No? Well, Harvey, what have you been saying?
It just shows how dopey you are.
Well, I
suggested at the start that your IQ was 7. Change that. 2.
Well,
I think you're...
Well,
Harvey!
This is what you can do with your IQ. What about some music? Some music? Is this the play on, is it? There you go. There you go.
That's like Hitler burning the books.
There you
Toby.
go.
That's the worst.
Oh, watch him. He's coming up behind you.
You want to do a Ron Casey? Oh, dear.
You know, that's the trouble. If we'd had a punch-up before this, we wouldn't be going off air tomorrow.
Did you see him upstairs like, oh, my God.
Well,
dear.
Listen, welcome to the program, as I said before, the thoughts of Chairman Stan. Now, there's been a few chairmen in history. What, Chairman Mao?
Chairman Mao, yeah.
Chairman Mao. Oh, in fact, there's Chairman Mao there.
Yeah.
There you go. So,
Goodness
Chairman
gracious,
Mao...
do I look glad?
Oh, yeah.
You are so mean.
Stan!
Yes, I think I've been set up here.
Oh, Stan, how could you... And then, of course, the other, one of my faves,
yes,
the chairman of the board.
Of course.
Frank Sinatra.
Absolutely. Look at that. Sensational. I can only sing my way.
You don't like to hide your light under a bushel, do you?
Well, in this book, look, it is controversial, it is outspoken, it is passionate, but I mean, we're all like that. I've just got the opportunity to put it into writing and tell everybody about my views that I espouse every night on the radio. Mm. And it's there to be debated, it's there to be talked about. I put a lot of facts in there, which people can sort of discuss. They can go along to the barbie and the dinner parties and things like that, and they can sort of take bits and pieces out of Stan's book.
Well, let's start with, you know, because every chapter, you're covering everything here. You've got the media and bias, you've got arts and entertainment, you've got business matters, you've got all... So let's start with a couple of topics, and I'll give you literally 15 seconds to overall your comment on... And let's start with welfare. What does Stan Zemanek think of welfare?
We pay too much welfare in this country, and we pay too much welfare to long-term unemployed. We should cut out long-term unemployed. Anybody in this country who is unemployed for 12 months or more is a professional bludger, and they should be made to work for the dole. No ifs and buts about it. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Your comments on affirmative action?
Affirmative action, I mean, it is a nonsense. I mean, women out there go out there and work and they succeed and they do things themselves. You're a success. There are a whole stack of other women out there that succeed. They don't need somebody telling them, you know, what to do and how to do things. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Okay. Multiculturalism.
Greatest failure known to mankind in Australia. Migrants have been the backbone of this country. They've been the foundation of this country. But you can't bring people here to bring all their old wars, or their old cultures, or their old feelings to this country. This is Australia. People come to this country because they want to come to this country because we're democratic, we're free, we've got a great lifestyle, and that's what they should be coming here for, not to bring their old wars here.
Oh, they're already running out to buy a copy of the book.
My batting average is going pretty good so far. Yeah.
Marijuana.
Marijuana, well, I mean, anybody that smokes marijuana...
Excuse me, over there.
What was that?
I hope you haven't brought that into the studio.
But, I mean, anybody that smokes marijuana has got to be brain dead. I mean, you've obviously got something wrong in your lives if you need something else like that. It's an illegal drug. And we've got to get tough on those people who go out there and use marijuana, use other drugs, and also the drug dealers as well. We're too soft on them. We should be locking them up for long-term jail sentences. If anybody peddles drugs in this country, they should be locked up forever. I might go into politics after this.
Oh, yeah. Juvenile crime.
Juvenile crime, once again, we're too easy, we're too soft. Look at all those kids out there that go and graffiti walls. They go and knock off cars. That kid had knocked off 47 cars. He got a slap on the wrist and a holiday up in Surfers Paradise, for God's sake. I mean, what are we doing? We're sending out the wrong message to these people.
The banks.
The banks, look, everybody wants to make a profit, but I think they're just being too ridiculous with their service charges. I mean, in the old days, they made money the old-fashioned way, the hard way, through interest and through good investing. But to make money out of service charges and things like that, I think one bank makes about $350 million just out of service charges. It's absurd.
Touching the chord. The Labor Party.
Labor Party, greatest bunch of socialist criminals God ever put on earth. They have defrauded this country. They've lied to the people of Australia. They are a bunch of low, thieving, lying bastards. I just wonder, is Jeff still a member of the Labor Party?
I was saying to Gough just the other day how nice you were.
And who did you vote for in the last election? Sorry. The ABC. We're talking television?
The ABC, be it radio or television, and the SBS as well, should be turned into a pay TV operation or pay radio operation, and let the people who want to go and watch the ABC pay for the ABC. I mean, we are sick and tired in Australia of paying for all these huge departments that don't really achieve anything. Sure, they have some good programs on there, but it's watched by about 10% of the population. And let that 10% of the population go and pay for the ABC, and that way they can cut their sales to the money that comes in. It's as simple as that.
Are there any opinions you keep to yourself?
Well, as somebody just said to me this morning in an interview, there's only one subject I haven't covered in that book, and that is sex. But I could change that all now, if you like. That's the only subject I haven't covered, as a matter of fact. Well, you want me to know? My wife has told me if you start talking about sex on Kerri Ann's program, she'll divorce me. So I'm not about to do it. I'm not about to do it.
So Marcella, what Marcella says at home goes?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've got to tell you, with all the bravado and everything that I go on with radio, when I get home, she is an absolute boss. If she says, take out the garbage, I say, how many tins? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I know you find that hard to believe, but it's true. She is the boss.
So Marcella has read the book on how to dog train your husband.
No. When I saw that, I thought she's going to rush out and buy that.
Does she use the choker collar on you? And or is the cattle prod more appropriate?
I think the cattle prod, yes.
Yeah. It is nice to have you on there.
Great.
And, well, you know, if you're interested, you can either listen to it at night and or the thoughts of Chairman Stan. It's got a ring to it,
It has
really,
got a nice ring to it, hasn't it?
It's got a ring to it.
There's over 400 pages, and I said it was a lot of fun to write, and I had a lot of people help me out doing it as well, researching all the facts and things like that, because I knew as soon as I started to write a book, all the critics would be out there and saying,
Would
Stan
they
write
be
a book?
unkind? Would they be unkind?
Well,
what's the worst thing somebody said about you, Stan?
Well, they started to talk about my Ray Martin wig, though. You know, so and I said, no, my wig's a lot lighter than Ray's. So that was the most unkind
Well, you
thing.
do use a little help.
No, I got to tell you that Philip Adams has probably been my greatest critic, I suppose, but Philip's never got over the fact he was probably one of the greatest failures on radio ever to sit behind a microphone. I mean, the man, until I got to 2UE, the man didn't rate. He had about 4%. And I tripled his ratings after about 2 or 3 surveys. But I mean, Philip Adams, unfortunately, is a real, and I'm sorry to say this, but he is a real pissant. He is a real pissant.
And you're sorry.
Sorry for what?
To say that.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not.
See, you're just telling me fibs.
Well, no, I'm not. I just think he is a pissant. And I think on top of that, I think...
Excuse me, I've just got to ask the boss, does this mean I get sued about this one? I'm not... Am I in trouble now?
I guarantee you...
Oh, he's the one who gets sued.
I
Yeah,
guarantee
sorry,
you won't be getting sued. You won't be getting sued with all the things that he said about me. You will not be getting sued.
I've just got to get the defamation laws down because we've only got 24 hours to go.
Well, once it's over, who cares?
Not for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Stan tonight.
Thank you.
To celebrate his 40th anniversary in the music business. He's performing 32 sold-out shows at the Royal Albert Hall, and he's just released 2 brand new albums. We've got the compilation album, 40 Years of Hits, and boy, does he jam-pack it full of hits there. And this is the new one as well, Real As I Want to Be. He sold, you know, more records than any other artist, living or dead, but now believes at the age of 58 he's the victim of ageism.
Over the last 5 or 10 years, and it's really become harder and harder, and now almost impossible for people like me at my age, no matter how good our records are, to get any airplay. We decided to release a single from the Real album, and the song we chose was called Can't Keep This Feeling, and a very soul-y, rhythm and blues ballady thing. I sang with a lot of breath and a lot of falsetto, and we did, as we tend to do quite often, a dance mix of it, and it came out really black and soulful. So we thought, let's put this out without my name on it. So we just released a white label CD, and it simply said Black Knight 001. And in 2 stations, I actually got into the charts. And they thought it was terrific. And I was getting this kind of message back saying, what is Black Knight? The singer is wicked, man. I thought, they're talking about me. And of course, then it was a great scam. Of course, I came out and went on one of the guys' radio stations, and he said, okay, introduce yourself. And he just said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy that sings on Can't Keep This Feeling In. And I said, hi there, my name is Cliff Richard. Can't keep this feeling. When other stations discovered it was me, they pulled it from their playlist.
But is it because Cliff Richard is considered, quote, uncool?
Cool is such an old-fashioned word. I remember using that in the 50s. I can't believe that people could be so uncool as to use the word cool. In the end, what everybody wants is success. I have it. That's what makes me cool. You don't have to like every record I make. You don't even have to like any of the records I make. Not at all. What you have to do is say, this guy has sold more records than almost anybody alive on the planet. That's cool. There's 2 things I know for sure. For all of the joy in my life.
Is it tough being a public Christian?
Yeah, it is really. It's a mantle that's impossible to wear. You know, because people, if you say you're a Christian, people seem to demand and expect this kind of perfection, which is impossible. There's a great move, certainly in Britain, I'm sure in Australia too, to try and make church-going more relevant. I think they deal with topics now when they're discussing that are far more relevant to people.
So what are the toughest topics the church will have to deal with to make it relevant?
Well, they're going to have to deal with the way the society lives now. They're going to have to deal with one-parent families. They're going to have to deal with sex outside marriage. I'm not saying they've got to condone it, but they've got to have a pretty rational, radical opinion about all these things and a reason for why people should become Christians. I know why they should become Christians, and we all do basically. It's just very hard to express it. They should become Christians because the world is heading not in a very nice way. The world is not improving. Just when we think we have world peace, it could explode in the Middle East. What are we going to do? What do we have in life without something that's satisfying and comforting and encouraging that's going to take you through your life? And when you look at it, there's very little, if anything, that can do that, other than Christianity.
But there are the big picture things like the environment and nuclear war. Then there's the everyday things. Virtually everybody lives in sin and has sex outside of marriage today. It is just a fact of life.
Yeah, it is, but it's a fact of life that people fall off cliffs as well and put their hands in fires. You wouldn't allow it because it happens to be a fact of life. You attempt to warn them. It's not for me to be judgmental. I can only say that it seems to me that we live in a world now that if you look at some of the negative statistics, they've never been as negative or as large. There have never been more people pregnant and having abortions than now. There have never been more marriages breaking down until now. There have never been this time when more relationships, even people who just live, which is a commitment in itself. I don't know that we need to be married all the time. In the sight of God, though, we need to commit to somebody else.
Oh, with all that I've done wrong, I must have done something right to deserve a hug every morning and butterfly kisses at night.
If I, as a Christian, met somebody else who was a Christian and we wanted to marry, but for some reason we thought we don't need to actually have a bit of paper, I would be prepared to speak in front of other people without a priest. I'm not sure that I'm right in saying this, but if I committed myself to her in the sight of God, to me that would be marriage. But it would mean that I would commit myself to that and I would work to make that work. Okay, I can't guarantee that emotions will always be high and lusty, because I know for a fact that it doesn't always last that way. But if we're genuine and we want to make it work, we can make something fabulous happen, even when the big romantic gush and rush is over. It can still be beautiful and nice, but you've got to work at that. It seems to me that society is not bothered about working at anything, neither a relationship, not even a job. We want everything now. And if it doesn't work, off we go. It's part of the record industry too. Wheel them in, wheel them out. Next. What band was that? Oh no, that was last year's.
Tired of nicks, cuts and razor burns, and after all that work you end up doing it again day after.
But is sex outside of marriage wrong?
It's only wrong if you're a Christian. There are no judgments for a man that's outside Christianity. I can't judge him.
But can you believe in God or have faith and still have sex outside marriage?
Yeah, I don't think the two things are exclusive. I mean, mutually exclusive. It's just that if you were a Christian, you would want to do, the whole essence of being a Christian is trying to get yourself out of the mire, which we never actually succeed in. I still haven't succeeded at it, and I've been a Christian for 34 years. I still am ashamed of some of the things I think, do, say, and I guess that'll be till my dying day. But the motivation is to be what God would have me be. So you have to make the attempt. And therefore, if I read, and the only thing you can find, the only way you can find out about God is to read what it says about him, and it's got to be from the Bible. And so you find all these truths and all these wonderful things there, and some things that are uncomfortable, like sex outside marriage. And so you think, oh, drat, you know, but you think, okay, if I believe in you, I'll give it a whirl. I've got to try this, otherwise I'm not being true to you, and I'm certainly not being true to myself. So you attempt it. So I would say to the man or woman who is a Christian and wonders why sex outside marriage is wrong, check it out in the Bible. If you really believe in God, you'll want to please him. So try to. He is the most forgiving person. All I know is that without his forgiveness, I will have failed 1,000 times, maybe 1,000 times a year, to be a Christian.
Richard, Circlip. And Cliff's compilation album is called 40 Years of Hits, and his new album, which you saw a couple of those tracks for there, is called As Real As I Want to Be. And I want to thank David Baxter and the EMI people, most especially Sir Cliff Richard and his people in London for treating us so well. And producer of that story was Kerri Roberts. Thank you all. We'll be back with more after this. We have been big supporters of the Advantage Australia program, the only shopper loyalty scheme that rewards you for supporting Australian-made goods and services. Now, to you, so for a slice over your breakfast, Australia at breakfast, start your morning with Advantage Australia. They've been very good to us, so we thank them. Okay, don't forget tomorrow, our final show, folks, and we're going out. Whoa! Hey, but you've got to be watching because there's going to be so many terrific memories, special guest appearances. We've got music from one of my faves, Rhonda Birchmore, Human Nature, Jeff Duff. Don't miss a moment. It's a big 2-hour special for us, and I'll see you tomorrow at midday.
Welcome to a piece of television history as the Nine Network presents the final episode of Midday with Kerri, presenting a star-studded lineup of fabulous guests. Now, please welcome the star of Midday, Kerri and Kennerley.
Looking good. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What is it? Oh, the 27th of November, 1998. And welcome to the final of, I think, approximately 5,000 episodes of Midday. And it's just terrific to have you with us. All of you who've very kindly come in to join us. Isn't it lucky you booked today because next week's not so good? It really is a milestone for Midday as it reaches the end of the road, our last show after a run of 26 years, which started with Mike Walsh back in 1973. That was the year, in fact, the Queen officially opened the Sydney Opera House. Gala Supreme won the Melbourne Cup, and the hit song of the year was Tie a Yellow Ribbon. You remember that? I remember that.
I can't remember that song. How did it go? It was my father told me about that song.
And in fact, 73, that was 2 years before television, colour television came in, although certainly I think I've made up with it a few outfits I've worn over the time. And you'd need to be a rocket scientist, folks, to work out how many guests, how many performers have appeared on this program. And just working on a fairly conservative figure of 10 per show, that comes to a staggering 52,000. You imagine, over those years, 52,000.